What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a Destiny 2 Heresy Act 2 reward guide. So in this one we're going to focus on Heresy rewards specifically. We'll talk about Adept weapons that are dropping from the Court of Blades. Of course you have to be on Expert to get the Adept drops, but for solo players or small fire teams, it's still possible to get Adept drops on fairly low tier completions of Court of Blades, so we'll speak about that. We'll also talk about how to get the first exotic catalyst for the Barrow-Dyad, a pretty cool emblem that you can unlock there as well. Plus we'll talk about the Path of Ambition, which is a new reputation track at the Shaping Slab, and we're able to switch between the reputation paths to unlock some new rewards, and also to change the behavior of the Barrow-Dyad SMG completely. So a few things to touch on in the video, guys. I figured we'd round it up in one place, given that Act 2 kind of stems from one initial quest thread, so it's kind of like a long path that we go through to do all of this stuff. So we may as well cover it in one video instead of dragging it out over multiple things. If you guys enjoy this one, a rating below really does help us on the channel, but now let's get into it. So the first thing to touch on regarding Adept weapons for Heresy Act 2, Bungie have added 5 new weapons in, and these will drop specifically from the Court of Blades. But much like we had with the Nether, we can still use the Tome of Want to target specific drops. So that's the first thing to know. I would also probably say that doing expert runs at higher tiers in Court of Blades is probably a bit more difficult than the Nether itself. However, all importantly, it is still possible to get Adept drops of these weapons on bronze tier completions of the Court of Blades. So it won't necessarily be the case for everyone, but that will mean that some solo players will still be able to farm the Court of Blades for Adepts. Or indeed, if you want to pick up a fire team on LFG or grab your clanmates or whatever, obviously you're going to have much better luck. As you can see here though, we got a run which was a bronze completion. I actually started it solo, and we only got 4 challengers defeated, but there were still Adept weapons dropping here, so check out this Anamnesis Adept that my friend Phantom got with Archer's Tempo and destabilizing rounds. Pretty juicy. There are a couple of other Adepts we got there as well, so that's the main point. You don't necessarily have to do the really high tier completions with a bunch of challengers. Although obviously the more bosses you defeat, the more rewards we'll get, the better chances at Adepts, shinies and all of that kind of stuff, so it at least means there is options for everybody on that front. In fact, if you really want to farm solo, you can go another level beyond this and actually basically do nothing for an expert Court of Blades run. This is kind of similar to what folks did with the Nether, completing the first round, getting the rewards, and then starting again. The first boss that we fight will be the easiest. We have a total of 10 minutes to complete the activity, but if you don't defeat the first boss for that first 10 minutes, of course we'll run out of time, which means when you actually defeat the boss, that will be the end of the activity. Of course, there'll only be one challenger defeated if you were to do that, but that gives the bronze tier of rewards, which is capable of dropping Adept weapons. So you could come in here, technically be AFK for 10 minutes once you've got into the first arena, then defeat the boss and still have a chance to get an Adept drop, which makes this incredibly easy for solo players. Obviously, there's a time investment there. It isn't necessarily the way that I would choose to play the game, but it does mean that solo players could farm for Adept weapons in this way. The drop rates for the Adepts will naturally be lower because we're not getting a higher tier completion and multiple challengers defeated. But in terms of drop chance for Adepts, and indeed the time investment, it's pretty similar to loading into the first section of the Nether, completing it, and then starting it again. So it's an option, and I guess if you wanted to complete some bounties in here, killing enemies in general, that would be an option as well. But yeah, the main point, if you want to do that, is just don't kill the first boss until you've run out of time. Then defeat the boss, and of course, we can respawn as many times as we like. And after you get that clear, you still have a chance at an Adept drop. This will also apply to the Barrow-Dyad Catalyst and earning that from the expert version of Court of Blades as well, which we'll touch on momentarily. So just something to keep in mind if that's useful for solo players who don't want to get a fire team. Next up though, let's speak about Barrow-Dyad, and we get the first catalyst for it, which is High Impact Reserves. I swear Bungie had said that we were going to get Target Lock and One for All as the Act 2 catalysts, but nonetheless High Impact Reserves is the one that we've got. And getting this first catalyst is also pretty easy. So we did a run of the Court of Blades with the Barrow-Dyad equipped. It needs to be on Expert, but any completion of it will actually drop a new quest called the Sharp Osseous Spine. I'm not 100% certain if you have to have Barrow-Dyad equipped on the first run in order to get it, but that's what I'd do. Equip Barrow-Dyad, complete the Expert Court of Blades, and then the Sharp Osseous Spine item will tell us to exchange it at the Shaping Slab for a quest called A Needle's Path. Once we've done that, we need to complete Court of Blades again on Expert difficulty using only precision damage weapons, and it specifies it has to be scout rifles, linears, or snipers, as well as the Barrow-Dyad. So We ran it again. I had Barrow-Dyad, a scout rifle, and a linear fusion rifle equipped. And any completion of Court of Blades will drop the high impact reserves refit for the weapon. So then we can go ahead and shape it. You will actually have to go to the reshape option as opposed to the shape option, and then you can equip the first catalyst for the weapon. I'm not sure about the second catalyst for Act 2 yet. It might be linked to vendor upgrades and things like that, but once you've unlocked 4 of the intrinsic triumphs, we get a new emblem worth mentioning, which is called the Wheel, which is pretty cool. That will drop from the intrinsic iteration triumph. Even more important for Barrow-Dyad though, is that we get an alternate version of its trait. So it's now possible to get the trait where hitting 3 different targets generates a large amount of blight, and then blighted seekers bore through targets, and as you can see, we build up panic response right here, and the next time we reload, it fires almost a barrage of rounds at the start that do additional damage, and it's probably a better version of the exotic perk than the original one, on the most part. I've seen videos about the catalyst upgrade, which actually haven't mentioned this trait, which I think is pretty weird because this trait is better than the catalyst upgrade itself, or at least more impactful to the weapon behavior. In terms of how we get that intrinsic variant though, we need to complete something called RIT, Path of Ambition. Now to get this quest, if you head into the Court of Blades, where we initially spawn in, under the bridge right here, you'll see a glowing worm, so if you pick that up, you'll get a quest objective, which literally requires us to complete a mission called Path of Ambition. So load that up, it's very self-explanatory, not especially difficult. There's some cool story stuff in there as well. And then after we've completed it, when we go to the shaping slab, there'll be a new node here that allows us to embrace our ambition, which essentially changes the shaping slab to an alternate reputation path. So we can switch back and forth at any time. When we look at the shaping slab, the ambition path once again has a whole different set of upgrades and rank rewards compared to the first version, which we can begin working on. On top of that, when we switch between paths, it will change the taken divergence trait on the Barrow-Dyad, which is certainly interesting. So that actually is the bulk of Heresy Act 2 in terms of rewards. New weapons and adepts from the Court of Blades, of course the Barrow-Dyad Catalyst, the additional Path of Ambition, and the change in behavior of the taken divergence perk. Once you've done that, you're well into Act 2, and we can go ahead and continue farming Court of Blades, ranking up the shaping slab ambition, which may also ultimately lead us to the next catalyst for Barrow-Dyad, unless, of course, that is locked out until next week's reset, which is, of course, possible. So there we go, guys. Quick rundown of everything you need to know about rewards in Heresy Act 2. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, a rating below really does help us on the channel. Also be sure to get subscribed and I'll keep you posted with more Destiny content. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.
Zone would advise that we contain this aberrant expression of taken energy. Her methods are not wrong, but there are often more paths than one to victory. One fist you grip control, in the other you reach with ambition. You are ready to face any horror the Dreadnought can produce, and turn them away with your fury.